beat the Steelers. Jalen, what do you think about the Browns ending the longest playoff drought in the National Football League?
Well, it's really impressive for a squad that was just winless a couple of seasons ago, and how they just built out the depth of their offensive weaponry. And it starts with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the backfield. Like, they're a dynamic duo coming out of the backfield. Jarvis Landry's a holdover there, and then Baker Mayfield adjusting to his role, that he doesn't have to necessarily be the guy that slings it all across the lot. And this is all being done without Odell Beckham Jr. So this is definitely a credit to the Cleveland Browns. Let's see if they can actually get in and win a game now.
So do you think it's encouraging that they just beat the opponent that they will face in the first round of the playoffs, or is it discouraging that they just beat the opponent they will face in the playoffs but was playing their backup quarterback and not all of their players?
Well, just think about it like this. I remember when the Patriots was going for their undefeated season, and late in the year, the Giants played their players against them, turned around, and I think that had an effect. I think in this situation, you can't really draw the same parallel because of Big Ben. He is like the rock and the anchor of the Steelers, and he's the person, if you were going to pick the Steelers to win, you would say Mike Tomlin and Big Ben would be the 1 and 2 reasons. So I understand where you're coming from, but Pittsburgh still has that mental hurdle over them. And Baltimore and the Cleveland, I was about to call them Baltimore, but the Cleveland Browns still are going to have to find a way to get over it.
Jalen, it is time to officially crown King Henry. I didn't think he'd be able to do it, but he went out against the Texans and did it. Got the yards he needed to get to 2,027 rushing yards from scrimmage. Jalen, can anybody stop King Henry when it comes to the winter?
I love a 3-down, all-purpose physical back. Oh, that's the football I grew up loving and watching. Oh my goodness, David Jacoby. And I actually even did some research for this topic.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Did you know that each year in high school, he ran for 2,000 yards? Did you know in college, he ran for 2,000 yards? In the NFL, this dude done ran for 2,000 yards. He is that deal, dog. Crown the king.
Absolutely. And one thing that's worth noting is this was a tie game. This game was going to overtime until Tannehill threw a deep bomb to A.J. Brown, which led to the doink field goal that got them to win. However, that sets them up for a first-round wild card game against the team that nobody wants to play in the AFC. That is the Baltimore Ravens, who have won 5 straight. Look like the Ravens of old after struggling early in the season. Jalen, what do you think about this Ravens team peaking at the right time?
For the Ravens, 2 things that all obviously stand out. They need to get off to a good start. Since Lamar's been the quarterback, once they trailed, the record isn't good in those games. And the other thing, when he hit Hollywood Brown deep, he got to hold on to the ball. Like, throwing it outside the numbers is something that they need to do better. And Lamar looked really good yesterday, and obviously he's fantastic at running. And if he and J.K. Dobbins can keep that ground game going and then hit the middle of the field with Andrews, that's cool. But if they unlock the outside, then that's when they can possibly be in the conversation with your Buffalo Bills. Because on paper coming into this season, I predicted that it would be Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship.
Well, Jalen, we must recognize the play of one Thomas Brady. Goes down to Tampa Bay. 43 years old, throws for 43 touchdowns. Like the Ravens, the Bucs are on a little win streak right now. Schedule helps that. Do you think the Bucs can make some noise in the playoffs, and they are aided by playing the Washington football team in the first round?
They'll be Washington in the first round, even though Washington got a great pass rush. They ain't going to be able to score enough. But the Mike Evans injury, now that was something big. A non-contact injury. I was glad he was able to go over 1,000 yards for like 7 straight years. And you're right, Tom Brady is kind of doing what everybody anticipated, that he was going to go to Tampa, and you'll see Godwin making great catches and resurrecting Gronk. And Antonio Brown has been a big-time performer for them, in particular in yesterday's game. So They seem to have the weaponry. They got a couple of backs in the backfield. So let's see let's see how they perform once playoff time comes.
There'll be plenty of time to discuss the upcoming NFL playoff. Eric Henry going over 2,000 yards. Lamar Jackson going over 1,000 yards. But we start the show where the NFL regular season ended, and that is in Philadelphia, where the Eagles took on the football team. And after Jalen Hurts was in the game, they put in Nate Sudfeld. Doug Peterson says he was coaching to win. Jalen, was Doug Peterson really coaching to win when he put in Nate Sudfeld?
And he disrespected a Jalen on top of it, who we've seen balling, Jacoby. Like, what does Doug Peterson have against the fact that Jalen Hurts has promise as an NFL quarterback? Like, each week is like, I'm trying to decide who's going to start. Or in the offseason, trying to build the offense around Wentz and find a role for Hurts. Hurts has shown that he can ball in college, now in the league. This is what I think should happen, Jacoby. As a gentleman that's built up so much equity with the people of Philly, he brought them a Super Bowl.
Yep.
They should consider taking down that statue of him and Nick Foles that's outside, dog. That's what I think about this move. Like, he sabotaged the city, the team, the organization. It ain't about whether they get the 6th pick or the 9th pick. He basically let me know that he don't want to be there and coach Jalen Hurts at quarterback. That's what I see. And this is normally the behavior of somebody that feels like he's going to get another gig. I don't think that this helps your next situation. How about that 4th and 2 that they went for? You're supposed to kick a field goal in that situation.
Gotta kick a field goal. Gotta tie the game there. Gotta tie the game. It just didn't make sense. Watching the game, the decisions that he made did not make sense. He was not coaching to win. Now, I'm glad you mentioned they could have been the 9th pick if they won, the 6th pick that they lost. Fine, you improve your draft position. I get that. But those 3 picks, in my opinion, are not worth the reputational hit, the relationship with everybody on your roster, the leadership. If you're gonna go back and be the coach of the Eagles next year, you should win that game, because that is what you all put on the uniforms and tie your shoes to go do, to win the game. And I just felt it was disrespectful, not just to take Hurts out after he scored 2 running touchdowns in a 1-possession game, but to put in Sudfeld. Like, you need to take a look at him, then have him just hand the ball off. Like, what do you need to see him do? And then he had 2 turnovers his first 2 possessions. I don't know. I'm shocked by this. I think if I was a Giants fan, I would be protesting outside of the link with masks on. But Jalen, this is going to have impact all offseason.
Move with him. Don't be surprised if they try to resurface somewhere else, Jacoby. That's how I see this playing out. You can't now go lead the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. You can't now look at their fan base with a straight face. Jacoby, this man brought them a Super Bowl. He brought them a Super Bowl. He has a statue outside. He lost all of that equity with that decision. We were watching the game. We saw what he did, and it was foul.
Yeah, you got also, not only did he pull Hurts, you got to kick that field goal to tie the game. You have to kick that field goal to tie the game. It's not like they were on the 1-inch line. They were on the 3. That was ridiculous. But Jalen, you know I'm a die easy fan, okay? And the Eagles have die hard fans. I'm a die easy fan. I jump on bandwagons, and you know one that I jumped on